At the beginning, we see Alice. She is spending the night at a motel when, at 2 a.m., she's woken up by a call from her husband, Eric. She hurriedly rushes to the bathroom and starts brushing her teeth while they talk. Eric admits he's struggling to sleep, nervously anxious about their upcoming appointment with a fertility doctor. He mentions that the highway is closed, so Alice should leave earlier than planned. He then asks if her colleague and friend, John, who accompanied her to a medical conference, could give her a ride. Alice calmly assures him everything's fine and ends the call. Suddenly, John, the same John she's been secretly cheating on Eric with, walks into the bathroom. The lovers soon leave the motel together. On the road, Alice notices another persistent incoming call from Eric, but decides not to answer. John expresses concern that Eric might be catching on to their affair, but Alice is confident that her husband has no idea. Soon, they approach the closed highway, and Alice impatiently suggests John take a different route. However, it turns out they're running low on gas. Frustrated, Alice scolds John for being forgetful, as she had reminded him to fill up. But John insists he did gas up the night before. John pulls into the nearest gas station. While he starts pumping gas, Alice heads inside the store. At that moment, John realizes the gas tank is dangerously damaged and fuel is leaking everywhere, but he doesn't notice. John glances around uneasily. The place seems deserted, and in the dim light, only a billboard with a cryptic message, "Goddess Nowhere," stands out. Meanwhile, Alice pours herself a cup of coffee and casually exchanges texts with Eric, who is apologizing for something. She heads to the register to pay, but there's no cashier in sight. Leaving the money on the counter, Alice suddenly freezes in terror. There are splashes of red on the shelf behind the counter, right where the cashier should be. Panicked, Alice runs toward the exit, but before she can make it, someone shoots her in the shoulder. Gunfire continues relentlessly, but Alice manages to take cover behind the shelves. She calls out desperately for John, but he's oblivious, lost in his music with his eyes closed. Alice wraps her wound with her sweater and looks around, hoping to make a break for it. Suddenly, another shot is fired, this time from the direction of the billboard. Alice barely manages to dodge the bullet. She shouts for John again, but he remains unaware of the chaos unfolding inside. Realizing she's on her own, Alice reaches for her phone, which she dropped when the shooting began. She inches past the shelves, but just as she extends her hand, it's shot to pieces by the mysterious gunman. Writhing in pain, Alice spots something on the security footage, a back exit. Hope flickers inside her. Suddenly, she hears an unfamiliar voice calling out a name. Amelia. Alice glances around and notices a walkie-talkie on the counter. It could be her only chance for help, but it's in the sniper's line of sight. Determined, Alice tosses a bag of chips into the air. The sniper immediately fires at it. She throws another, and as the second shot rings out, she makes a dash for the walkie-talkie. Meanwhile, John notices the gas gauge is dropping again, even though the car hasn't moved. Confused, he steps out and finally discovers the gas tank is leaking. Inside, Alice frantically speaks into the walkie-talkie, pleading with the man on the other end to call the police. But instead of helping, the man demands to know what happened to his wife, Amelia. At that moment, John finally enters the store to check on Alice. As soon as he spots her, the sniper fires, hitting him in the neck. John collapses to the floor, gasping for Alice to help him. But before she can react, the sniper fires again, killing him instantly. Shocked and horrified, Alice tries to regain her composure. The man on the walkie-talkie is still on the line. She manages to drag it back toward her. Alice tells the man that someone has just killed her friend and is now trying to kill her too. She insists there's no Amelia and that she's alone in the store. Finally, the man agrees to call the police. He tells Alice that help will arrive in 15 minutes. Relieved, she thanks him and asks him to stay on the line. He begins asking how she ended up at the gas station, but suddenly his tone shifts. He coldly reveals that he was the one who shot John in the head. Horrified, Alice throws the walkie-talkie away, but the sniper's voice crackles through, ordering her to stand where he can see her. Paralyzed with fear, she doesn't move. The sniper warns that he'll come in himself if she doesn't obey. Desperate, Alice notices a row of light switches on the wall. She begins throwing objects at them, hoping to plunge the store into darkness. But her aim is off. Then, she discovers the shelf she's hiding behind is on wheels. Summoning all her strength, she pushes it forward to create a barrier. Noticing the movement, the sniper fires again. Bullets ricochet off the metal as Alice manages to reach the light switches and plunge the store into darkness. Grabbing the walkie-talkie again, she frantically tries to contact someone else, but each time, it's the sniper's voice. He tells her that aside from him, her and his wife Amelia, there's no one else around. That's when Alice notices a woman's body under the counter. The sniper explains he killed his wife because she cheated on him. Alice realizes with growing horror that he knows about her own infidelity. Desperate, Alice searches Amelia's body for a phone, nothing. She tries the store's landline, but all wires have been cut. She crawls to John's body and activates his car alarm, praying someone hears. But the sniper silences it with a few shots. Frustrated and terrified, Alice demands to know who he is. The sniper cryptically responds, "You're wrong." Alice disinfects her wound with sanitizer, attempts to seal the edges with glue, and bandages it with a clean cloth. Suddenly, a car pulls up. A man named Doug enters, calling out for Amelia. Alice screams at him to get down and pleads for him to call the police. But Doug says he left his phone in the car. Alice warns that the sniper is still out there, but then realizes there hasn't been a single shot since Doug arrived. Suspicious, Alice grabs a hammer and prepares for a possible attack. Doug sobs over Amelia's body and quickly assures her he's not the sniper. He explains that he and Amelia were dating and worked at the gas station together. Alice tells him the sniper said Amelia was his wife, but Doug insists Amelia was never married. Alice remains skeptical. When Doug learns she's been talking to the sniper over the walkie-talkie, he suggests bluffing and telling the sniper they've called the police. Alice tries contacting the sniper, but there's no response. Growing more suspicious, she challenges Doug to retrieve his phone to prove his innocence. Terrified, he refuses, but Alice insists and promises to distract the sniper. Reluctantly, Doug agrees. He cautiously reaches for his phone, but the moment he touches it, the sniper fires. The sniper contacts Alice again, accusing her of setting Doug up, and demands the truth. He reveals he knows Alice works for a pharmaceutical company and accuses her of trafficking illegal substances. Alice denies it, saying she's just VP of marketing. But the sniper says that's even worse. She's the one pushing the drugs. He accuses her of falsely accusing her former boss of harassment, ruining his life. As he rants, Alice finds a box labeled Henry and suspects this man might be the sniper, someone filled with resentment. She creates a barrier using umbrellas, but the sniper notices and opens fire. She dodges the bullets and insists she hasn't taken anyone's life. But he claims everyone's capable of killing for their own gain. While he monologues, Alice sneaks to the emergency exit. It's locked. She tries breaking the lock with a fire extinguisher but fails. Soon, another man pulls up, struggles with a credit card, and drives away. The sniper doesn't shoot him. Alice changes tactics. She tells the sniper she and her husband are trying to have a child. But he mocks her, saying she'd be a terrible mother. He suggests she's had abortions. She protests, saying she simply can't have children. She confesses she's been trying to please men all her life, and her affair was out of pain, not love. Still, she loves her husband. Suddenly, a police car approaches. Alice feels hope, but it drives past. The sniper, distracted, loses sight of her. She runs to John's car. The sniper shoots, hitting her in the thigh. Crawling in pain, she loses consciousness. She wakes later, tends to her wound, and finds a blade to try cutting through the emergency door lock. She cuts her hand instead. She grabs the radio and pleads again. Her death won't help anyone. Suddenly, she calls him Henry and asks if he really lost his job and his child. The sniper coldly replies, "Who's Henry?" Then, another car arrives. An elderly man discovers Doug's body. Alice tries to warn him, but the sniper shoots him. His wife is next. Alice, horrified, is told they're alike, and her future child would be too. Alice says that's why she doesn't want kids, so they won't turn into people like him. Just then, she sees a little girl, Cindy, step out of the car. Alice writes a note on paper towels, begging her to return to the car. She pleads with the sniper to spare the girl's life. He agrees, only if Alice trades herself. She tells Cindy to run, but the girl panics and runs into the store. Alice locks the front door and tries again to cut the emergency lock. This time, she succeeds. But the sniper appears, walking from behind the billboard. Alice and Cindy hide in a storage room, where another gate blocks the way. Alice hides Cindy and arms herself with makeshift weapons. The sniper, wearing a black mask, enters. He taunts her, asking if he's someone her husband hired, or a former colleague, or someone ruined by her work. He nearly spots Alice, but she ambushes him, stabbing him with a metal rod. A brutal struggle begins. He shoots her again. Cindy watches, terrified. The sniper finds her and prepares to remove his mask, telling her there's nothing to fear. But Alice reappears. She hits him with a fire extinguisher and pushes his head under a hydraulic press. His head is crushed. His identity remains horrifyingly unknown. Morning arrives. Alice collapses from her injuries. Cindy runs out onto the road, the sole survivor. Who do you think among Alice's acquaintances could have taken such a drastic step for revenge? Was it really worth it? So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.